Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of the Pat Barry Show. And I'm in the studio this evening. I'm speaking with Farzin. And Farzin is living over in Virginia. And Farzin and myself are going to have a chat about, I suppose, negotiating the legal system when you're going through a divorce. It's not much different in Ireland as well because there's a slanted, or in my, I might feel about personal experience, there seems to be very tough stance taken against men, particularly when there's small children involved in Ireland, and I'm sure the same the same as in the United States. Welcome, Farzin, to the show,
Thank you very much, Pat. I appreciate you inviting me.
and delighted you could make it. We had a sail around outer space, but we landed safely anyway. Before the show started. So, you tell when did this start for you, Farzin? How did it come about?
Well, you know, divorces are generally messy affairs, and who gets hurt the most are the children because the parents should set their differences aside, obviously, and work in the best interest of the children. However, that's not the way that it plays out generally, and generally, men get the short end of the stick when it comes to our family because we have our nose to the grindstone, building a life, trying to build hopes and dreams for the future for our family, and not really seeing, uh, the train that's coming at us in terms of um, what the other person could possibly do to undermine us, to destroy our dreams, what we're building, and rip our family away from us. But when you're dealing with some individuals who put their own happiness ahead of their families and their children, um, this is what you get. You get broken
Yeah,
homes and children that suffer, really. In
we
my
have.
case, it went beyond just that marriage. I had a previous ex-wife weaponized a play therapist without ever interviewing me. She went to social services, CPS in America, and filed a report, a claim against me, and they opened an investigation without ever talking to us, without ever even telling us the allegations against us. They came and took our children without due process of law, criminality, a crime, no abuse, no emergency. They just came here with police officers and guns, and they took our children at gunpoint, essentially, our
What age?
daughters.
What
And
age
then
of children?
they
Then what
took our
age?
daughters and they placed our daughters with a single father of three sons. I mean, I don't know how they do things over there, but if you're going to take someone's children, even for a legitimate reason, you should attempt to put them with next of kin because no one's going to treat children better than their family. You should at
Nobody. Yeah,
least attempt to put them with an uncle, an aunt, a grandmother, a grandfather, someone in
yeah,
the family,
yeah.
not just take them and put them with some single father of three sons, my two daughters. And this was a very challenging situation for me. It was very volatile. I was able to successfully defend our family against CPS, social services, four times. We defeated them in court. We got our children back. So, what that proves is that their actions were lawless. The fact that they stole our children from us, kidnapped them, trafficked them for 5 days, didn't answer our calls, didn't answer our emails, didn't answer our text messages, didn't communicate with us whatsoever, and our children were whisked away from us. And we got them back at the emergency hearing, and then we kept them at the 30-day adjudication. And
Well,
social services is such a corrupt, abusive uh, agency of government here in America. They don't go after real cases of neglect and abuse. It's always the police who's helping these abused children that are in neglectful homes and situations. The social services is nowhere to be found in real cases of abuse, but they get weaponized through hearsay allegations and lies. Mind you, ones that have been disproven over and over in court. So not only do I have to suffer the indignity and the resource drain of fighting these false allegations over and over in court and defeating them, but it's the stigma of those allegations that remain, even though I've defeated them. Even though I've cleared my name in court, they still, oh, but like there's so many allegations in the past, maybe something is true.
Yeah. And we have an agency in Ireland called TUSLA, TUSLA. It's a child protection agency. It's a wrong name for it, in my opinion, but I won't say any more than that. Or the fact that the experience you experienced there are replicated very much in Ireland, except the police in Ireland don't have guns. That's the only thing that they don't have. All the rest would be exactly the same story over and over again in Ireland. It's an appalling, and the trauma on the children. Luckily, children are pretty resilient creatures. They're pretty resilient, and
They generally in this country target children that are very young, below 6 months, 9 months, so that they won't remember their biological family and they can whisk them off to adoption. It's a very profitable system in America where Title IV funding in America funds and supports this. Social Security also supports this. So every time they can kidnap a kid and traffic them, they make something like 3.3 million off of that baby. And babies are more valuable to adoptive parents because they don't remember their mom and dad. A 10-year-old can put his foot down or her foot down and say, I want my mom, I want my dad.
yeah, they can verbalize it. Yeah,
They remember who they are. But a
yeah.
6-month-old, you can change their papers, change their identity, change their name. They won't remember their parents. And that's what they did to us, is they took a 1-month breastfeeding infant away from its mother based on solely disproven allegations. Allegations that they wouldn't even tell us when they took our children.
It's a lunatic system. It's a lunatic system.
They wouldn't even tell us the allegations against us, and I could not. I mean, all the woman kept saying is, "We have some concerns." You can't take my children on some concerns. You have to have hard evidence. You have to have, no one's being abused here. There wasn't even any allegations of abuse, mind you, to the children.
And
Their argument was that my wife and we fight, and therefore the children are in danger.
We argue.
We argue. No, we don't. We argue. We argue.
They didn't even come with a court order, did they?
No, well, not the first time. The second time, they claimed to have a court order, no warrant. But I had my lawyer there on site. They generally do this to. They generally do this to vulnerable children from poor families who don't have the resources to fight back.
Yes.
Yeah, and they accuse them of some heinous stuff that embarrasses them and makes them not want to fight back.
Yeah, they're beaten down already in life.
I can imagine, I can imagine how, that they would go and approach a poor child and tell him or her that, listen, if you speak against your parents, we'll put you in a rich home where you won't have to do any chores and you can have Cheerios and Pop-Tarts all day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of manipulative, scumbag stuff that the social service is telling our children, and really poor children that are at a disadvantage because not everybody is well off.
No, that's true. And is there help for people who don't have the means to get representation?
It's not a crime to be poor,
Yeah.
And I feel for those families that suffer in silence, whose children are stolen from them, and they don't have the money to fight back. So now, I feel that since I've won and I've defeated social services here in America, DSS and CPS, I'm going to keep going forward, and I'm going to bring a legal reckoning that's going to help these other families and make them think twice about doing this to other families.
And as we know, I don't know about the United States, but in Ireland, I'm always going on about, when we have other discussions on a different show, that there's a prison right beside where we are sometimes. And I said, that prison there are only poor people in prison. That's all. There's only just poor people in prison.
No, there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Like if you don't have good representation, genuinely good, passionate representation, you're not going to make it.
No, no, no. I mean, in my case, I had an easy time because we both agreed on, because my children were adults and we both agreed on everything, and it just smooth sailing really in one way, smooth sailing, you know. But
Yeah, that's nice that you have that. I mean, for me, I have children that from previous marriages that have been alienated from me, that have been I mean, I've been denied access to my children while the mothers told the children I abandoned them. I'm fighting in court to see them. I'm paying my support. I'm current. I've paid, like they're insane and ridiculous amounts of support that they want from men. I've paid that, and I'm current on it. The
well,
record shows that I'm current right now on my support obligations to my wives, ex-wives. But they deny me access, they deny me influence, they deny me my rights to my children, and they deserve to have their father in their life. They think they're hurting me, but they're hurting those children. Those
yeah,
children need to have access to their father, the culture of their father, their identity. You know
of course
that
they
that
do, of
I mean
course they
that's a
do.
big part of who we are, as human beings, is knowing who our family is and where we come from, and why we're here. It gives us a sense of purpose.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does. Yes, it does. And it's very, very important for children to have parents, both parents, as much as they can in their lives. You know, it's very important because
absolutely. Yeah. I
because
mean,
uh, they need role models in life. You know, they need role models in life, and they need, apart from the Kardashians, they need
and they
role
need
models in
both
life.
sides
Yeah,
of the equation.
they
Like
do. Yeah,
the feminine energy is, a nurturing and a loving and a kind and a motherly energy, and it's
yes,
always forgiving and always has room for the errors of a child. The masculine energy is just as important. You know, that love for a child is real too, and it teaches that boy or that girl. Well, for a girl, it teaches her worth and her value, and for a
yes,
boy, it teaches him not just how to deal with conflict and his aggression, but it
yeah.
also teaches him how to interact with the world. Like how to process his feelings and emotions.
Yeah,
And
and discipline and respect, self-respect, and stuff
absolutely.
like
I
that.
mean,
You know.
men
Yeah,
bring that to a home. We bring discipline and morality to the home. And
yeah.
we get a lot of heat for it, and we're the bad guys. Generally
Well,
we're the bad guys for it. Um
I don't know what going. I don't know. Looking further down the line, what's to be done, but the whole system is very, very much loaded against men, fathers especially, and it's very, very sad. I have a close friend of mine who's for years and years fighting against this system, you know. So much so when he started off, his children were small, but now they're young adults, you know. That's how long it's going on. And I don't know where he gets his energy to persevere for, but he kept going anyway, you know. And
yeah,
today he has a very good relationship with his children, you know, despite all the challenges he had to face, you know, in
yeah,
court and was all and wanted to be part of their lives, you know, wanted to be part of their lives, and but it has worked out well for him, thank God, you know. But there are some good cases, but there are some horrific cases as well, and you can read about them every day in the media and in the press, you know, and it's very sad,
yeah,
and their children.
absolutely.
What age?
These children, they deserve to have
They
peace
do.
and calm and a healthy relationship with both parents.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and, and that love should not be interrupted. Like when one parent denies access to the other parent, who's a healthy parent, who's a good parent, they're abusing that child. That's child abuse.
Well, it is.
Because
It is
that
Farzin.
child needs that parent. More than anything. When I look at, for example, my first marriage, I love those children with all my heart and my being and my soul. And it's tragic for me. I take a look. There's so many men that are better than me that have been in this situation that I'm going through right now. So many men that are bigger and much better in every way than me that have gone through this scenario where their woman has the mother of their children has alienated them from their children, and these children are now denied of not just the love, wisdom, guidance, and respect of their father, but also his resources in a very real way.
Well, we know that apart from bullets and sticks, that gossip and backbiting can be very, very damaging
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
appalling altogether. That's why
That's
it's
the
called
worst. I
out.
mean, backbiting, gossip, I think that this, this defamation, this reputation destruction
Yeah,
is libel. I mean, it doesn't just ruin your reputation, your ability to earn a livelihood, your ability to be with your children, and to live free of, government investigations and molestation. Because, if they think that you're some kind of, evildoer, wrongdoer, you're some kind of like, problematic person because of the accusations that have been levied against you, even though they've been disproven over and over. Under evidentiary scrutiny, they all collapse. But women are some, not all women, but some are shameless in their lies. They have no scruples, and
I
there's no
know.
limit to how far they'll go to like to cover up their tracks, their lies.
I know
And
that.
it's really damaging to those children. Like those.
I
I
was
feel
telling
bad for
you,
those kids.
I worked in the taxi business for years ago now, and there was another man, a friend of ours, and there was an allegation made to the police about him um, touching women in his car. Now, the man was a married man with kids and family, not because I knew him personally, but when I heard the allegation, when we all heard it, we were gobsmacked. That man died, completely died as a result of those false allegations that were made against him. I knew two of the women that made it, and they admitted to our police in the end that they made it up. They made up the story. And
Yeah. No, this has
well,
happened to me, and I
the,
can tell
the,
you that it there is no amount of apology, there is no amount of uh, not guilty verdict that makes the stain of this allegation go away.
no, no,
Like if someone is accused of uh, molestation or sexual assault of some type, even if their name is cleared 100% in court, no one's going to leave their child with this man. No one is going to, for 1 minute, think that this man is okay to be left around children.
no.
And
Yeah,
and
you're
it's sad because people, and it's not just me that this kind of stuff happens to. This kind of stuff is happening to men across the world.
you're
Like it's
removing.
so easy. These allegations are so easy without evidence, without
Exactly,
any kind of,
and you're removing the self-respect as a man that man had. You're removing the trust that people had in him. You
and
cannot
then
give.
they come back and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was a bad lie. I apologize." You actually damaged my reputation. Like this. It's. I mean, like this isn't something you can apologize for. I came
No,
from a Baha'i person, and I forgive everybody immediately because I don't want to carry the burden of hate in my
yeah,
heart.
yeah,
I don't want to carry
absolutely.
hate in my heart for anyone or
No,
anything.
no,
So more than anything, it's just sorrow and regret and pain that you know you understand why things are playing out the way they are, and you don't know how you can stop it. You don't know how you can prevent it. Like there's nothing. Like people will be so upset with you that they'll say some heinous lie and then take it back as if you can take it back.
yeah. Have you been to Mount Carmel in Haifa?
I have.
Yeah, it's my daughter and her husband worked there for a while, so it afforded me the opportunity to be there. It's just an amazing.
The
It's
blessing. Truly a
that's
blessing.
that's exactly what it is.
Let me show
Absolutely.
you. Let me show you for one second.
Look,
What my crusade is all about. Like I'm doing it
look,
for my family.
look at that girl. What's her name?
Her name is Roxana. This is Roshanak. Say hi, Roshanak. Hi.
Roxana.
Hi, my name is
Hi,
Roshanak.
hi. Can you see
Hi.
me?
And that's her mama. That's her mama Emily right there.
Emily.
She doesn't want to be on
Okay,
camera.
I heard you.
She's
I
like,
heard
turn
you.
the camera, turn the camera. Say hi, mama.
Hi, hi, Emily.
Yeah, so this is my little Roxana, and this is who
What,
they took. She was 1 month old
what
for
age she
five
now?
days. For
What age
five
she?
days,
Yeah, what age she now?
she's 6 months now.
Oh, she's a fine, strong girl.
Yeah, yeah, she is my
Yeah,
little lady.
absolutely. Yoo-hoo! She's amazing altogether, you know?
I'm over the moon. Like she
Yeah,
makes me so
oh,
happy. Like
yeah, yeah,
I mean, believe me, like this child is in the safest place that she could ever be, in
yeah.
her mom and dad's arms,
I can
and
see
she
that,
is loved and tended to. I mean, incredibly well. Like
yeah,
we pay attention to every furl of her brow. Like every, I mean, she doesn't have to cry for us to tend to her. Like we're watching her. We want
yeah,
her to be happy in every
yeah,
way. Like
yeah,
we can't wait for her to wake up from her naps because we miss her.
yeah.
I'm serious. Like we miss playing with her. When she wakes
Yeah,
up, she wakes up quietly because she knows we're waiting for her.
yeah,
You see how cool and calm she is?
yeah,
She's always like this.
yeah.
Yeah?
They
Can you
did,
give
they,
her a smile? Give Pat a smile.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. With a beautiful,
Thank you so
beautiful,
much. Thank
beautiful
you.
baby.
I'll give her back to her mama so we can continue.
Yeah, beautiful baby. But anyway, everything right now is settled.
Right now, for now. Now, I will tell you that, we defeated them in court twice so far, but they appealed the decision before it was even adjudicated. So after the 5-day emergency hearing, we we defeated CPS, proved that their actions were lawless, and got our daughters back at 5 days, after 5 days. And so we had an adjudication in 30 days. Like the matter hadn't been settled until the 30-day adjudication.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Yeah,
They appealed the case prior to the case being adjudicated, which when I talk to civil rights attorneys, they can't believe they did this. They're like, no, they couldn't have possibly appealed it before the case was closed in
yeah,
the lower court.
yeah.
And
I
I said,
understand.
yes, they did. And they were like, you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, well, it's social services. They're part of government. They can do whatever they want. It's a tyranny.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a tyranny,
And and
and they're
sometimes,
lawless. They don't follow the law. I mean, they completely deny all of
and
your constitutional rights. All of your rights as a citizen, as a human.
sometimes,
Honestly, as a father, if you're a good father, like I believe that when they come to take your children or your daughter, I would rather them take my leg. I would rather
yeah,
them literally take my leg.
yeah, yeah. And does the in court does the what kind of a role does the judge have in the court case? Is it just
Well, the judge is the god in that courtroom. Like literally, like in their courtroom, judges have complete authority, obviously. So when the judge heard all the evidence at the 5 day, he ruled that there was no emergency. He ruled that there was no reason for them to take our children, and there was no cause. There was not even an allegation of abuse against the children. None.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Zero.
I
And the
understand.
judge said if we were to take away the kids of every family that argues in this county, no families would have children. They would all be in foster care, and our system would be overrun. That's the judge said that.
Yeah, yeah,
So the judge was like, give them back their kids. And you know what social services said? You know what CPS said? Their attorney. She said, we don't have a dismissed box on the removal order, Your Honor. The judge was like, what? You don't have a dismissed box? Because they have they have three different boxes, but they
yeah.
don't have a dismissed box.
I know what you tick box. Yeah,
And the judge was like, okay, give me the orders. I'll write it in myself. The judge took the order, put it dismissed in a box, and check marked it himself. He was a good judge. I mean, like, I'm not saying the entire system is corrupt. I'm
no,
saying that
no,
there are
yeah,
elements in the system that believe they have more rights to our children than we do.
yes.
And I mean, government exists to protect families. Believe me, every country in the world, whether it's Ireland, America, England, whatever, every country in the world is made of families.
yeah,
when you destroy when you tear down the family unit, I mean, how hard is it to form families anymore? How hard is it for two people to come together and try to form a family when you have the arm of government using taxpayer dollars reaching in to rip apart a family and traffic their children? A lot of
Yeah,
families are blue collar and don't have the money or the education to take on the government.
or the energy or the time like that. But
The
it
government should
is
not be in this business. The government
no.
should not. I mean, unless there's a case of real abuse, real neglect, the government should not be in the business of manipulating children to talk against their families so they can traffic their children and move them into foster
So
care and abuse.
so what about? I'm sure you've come across other people, other fathers like you, who have been in trouble with the law on
Yeah.
family courts. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, my case is a positive case compared to
yeah,
everybody else's.
yeah, yeah.
I hear so many stories from fathers and mothers out there whose kids are removed and they are praying for their children. Whether it was lawful or not, whether it was adjudicated yet or not. I'm talking to a lot of families, and the pattern is similar, and I want your viewers to hear this. They try to separate the mother and turn her on the father. That way, when they can do that and they can take the mother out of the protection of the father, generally fathers are less agreeable, they're more aggressive, they're more masculine, they're more manly, right?
Yeah,
They want
yeah.
to remove her from his protection so they can have her by herself. And all the promises that they made to her to get her there were lies. Like these are manipulative scumbags that will lie and plant evidence, take your children into a system because they believe those children will be better off without you. They believe that your children will be better off in a wealthy family that can tend to them better. And they got lots of wealthy families that want to adopt these poor children,
Goodness
right?
me.
Being a poor person does not it's not a crime to be poor. If you're a carpenter or a plumber or just some low level laborer, um, and you're just making ends meet. Now you have to fight the government for your children. Um,
Well, in Ireland in the 40s and 50s, when I grew up, I came from a very big family. Well, not a very big family. I was the eldest of 9 children, and
wow, that's wonderful.
there was a tradition in big families that the eldest boy would be a priest, and the eldest girl would be a nun. In other words, if the mother and father agreed, they'd get their education from the church. And in my case, I was sent and paid for in boarding school to to go away and be a priest. And anyway, that was the tradition in Ireland in the 50s and 60s. And of course, it's died out now. But it taught me a lot myself, I hope. But I mean, I did see the sad side of it as well. If you didn't have money, if you didn't have money growing up, you were really mistreated by the pillars of society, by teachers and schools. And you've read about all the horrific abuse that went on in Ireland in the 60s and 70s. And mainly it was foisted upon people who were struggling, whose parents were poor. My dad was a working man. My dad is still alive. He's 96. And
God bless him.
he is healthy, thank God. My mum passed away during COVID. She was
Oh, I'm
91.
sorry to hear that. God rest
She,
her in
well,
paradise.
dementia. She was suffered from dementia. It's an awful, awful, awful
Oh,
disease.
she's in a better place now and with her
Uh,
full senses, and she's your guardian angel now.
Absolutely, no. And they say about the mother when she passes, it's the end of the family. Not being disparaging towards dads or anything. It's the glue that keeps the family together.
Oh,
And
for sure. Like
I've got
I've come to realize that all my children will side with their mother, regardless of whether she's right or wrong. you know, and I have to just deal with it. Like I
you
have to just
do.
I honestly when I'm talking to my children, I put my pain and my suffering with their mother to the side. Like those children are innocent, and they've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed by what their mother says, and all I can do is be who I am, which
Well, we
is
know we know that the first educator of the family of children is the mother. So that's why it's very important worldwide for women to be educated.
well. I mean,
Because
I think that when we talk about a woman being educated, I believe there's two types of smarts, and the kind of smarts is book smarts versus common sense smarts. Common
yeah,
sense is more wisdom.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
to me, book
uh,
smarts. Be having a high IQ, being book smart means that you can climb a ladder quickly. Of knowledge.
yeah, yeah, and
Being
yeah,
wise, being wise is knowing where to put your ladder.
we
Which
speak.
wall do you want to climb?
You speak about acquired knowledge and innate knowledge. Innate knowledge.
I
So
have my ex-wife before Emily, very, very intelligent, very beautiful woman. Like she has some Irish in her, she has some Swedish in her, some English. She's a very beautiful woman, but on the outside, very beautiful and very smart, very intelligent. Um, she has a master's degree. She works for an elite agency of government, and she's able to manipulate people. She's able to play a room. She's very charismatic. Like she is trained in psychological operations, proxy recruitment. She enjoys this stuff. Like this is part of her job. She enjoys doing this subterfuge. And
yeah,
me just being like, I had like love eyes because I fell in love with her. Like and I saw the way she treated her ex husband before me, and I was like, well, he must have really messed up. She'd never do that to me, and it just really opened my eyes to, someone can be super beautiful on the outside, and
like
get away
yeah,
with whatever they can get away with on the inside. Like she
like
knows.
the old
She knows that the
expression.
system favors her being a woman. This is the way it is. Like system will always favor the woman because they immediately see her as being the weaker victim.
Yeah, like the old Elvis Presley song, "You're the devil in disguise." Anyway,
No, believe me, if the devil wants to mess with you, he's going to send a beautiful woman.
yeah, there's one. I better watch out.
For real, that's the way it is, my friend.
Well, it is very hard. And well, I know when I had to leave the family home, it's like people asked you, I had to go, and generally, I know about the United States, but in Ireland, generally speaking, the man has to leave the family home, just go.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
crazy.
and to
No, I
me,
did that with my first relation. So with my first, and I've come to the realization, I know we're Baha'is, and we come
yeah,
up in that
yeah,
tradition, but there's certain things that my life has taught me where I depart in my philosophies now, with the faith. And I love the faith. The beauty of the faith is amazing to me, but there's certain things that my life experience has shown me
yes,
that is
yes,
dangerous for me. Like marriage is a dangerous institution for me. There's nothing in it for me. Like I can be married in the eyes of family and God without getting a piece of paper with the government. And I've come to the realization that, if someone actually wants to be with you, then they don't need that piece of paper.
Piece of paper does not make a marriage.
I think that what the government is doing now is destroying men completely.
I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but I mean, this phrase that's used. Well, there are a lot of men haters in society. This toxic masculinity that comes up in discussions, I switch off immediately when I hear that. I just switch off.
No, so you see, toxic masculinity is a term that was developed in the early '90s to describe inmates in prison who, when they stepped, one person stepped on the other person's foot, the other person, like pulled out a knife and killed him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that right there is a different thing. I don't believe there's any such thing as. I think masculinity is what drives society. I think testosterone builds society, and it protects society. I think we need strong masculine men to lead families and protect women. I think the number one job of men is to protect women.
Well, I
That's
agree
what,
with you.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what nature and I mean, ultimately, God created man for is to protect woman, to
there's no,
create all of this
and
society for her.
but people misinterpret that role for men as keeping the woman down, keeping the women down, and
That,
it's
you know,
the
that's
opposite.
we're elevating women. I mean, I believe
It's
in years
yeah,
past and in
yeah,
generations past, women wanted to feel protected. Women put men on that pedestal because, I mean, here's the reality of it: men are expendable. Women come with intrinsic value. Men, we go to war and we die. Generally, we're the only ones, right? And then the women, they go on and they marry or they have children with whoever they were conquered by.
yeah, yeah,
And the ones that they don't, the ones who are honorable and they decide that, hey, I'm not going to take a new man, I'm not going to have new children. Well, guess what? They didn't pass on their genetics. So only the women who were willing to take on new mates, and that's why women get over relationships so much faster than men.
yeah. I never thought of it that way. I suppose it took me an awful long time to come out, even though I was relatively, I won't say old, but I was old enough to have sense. But it's the shattering of that family unit is the most difficult thing to get over. You know, the security of your home, the security of your family. It's like when you're out working, at least you know you go home to that security. But
Yeah,
then when that's finished with, you go home to an empty house or a flat or an apartment, and that's why many men go down the road of alcoholism, drug taking, or suicide.
absolutely. I think in the past, what saved Europe, and I mean, I'll be very, I know we're both behind, and I'll be very frank with you, is the backbone of Christianity.
Yeah,
Like it set the laws and precepts for how a family should be run.
yeah,
And it spoke to how the man, you know, you there's no way unto God except through the Father. That the
yeah,
father in the home. I'm talking about the father of the children and the husband of the wife. He was the emissary of God in that family. He was the lawbringer, the disciplinarian, and women, like I was saying, they wanted men to be in control, to pay the bills and take care of them and make sure that everybody was safe and well provided for. You know,
yeah.
in recent years, in recent generations, women have wanted their freedom more and more. And men being what we are, we want to make our women happy. So we give them their freedom and give them more. And now they have so much freedom, they destroy themselves and society over it. Like honestly, and I'll be very, frank with you about this. Uh, One of the most dangerous things to culture and family in any nation is modern leftist ideology that is destroying family units, from transgenderism and gender confusion, where men don't know what their roles are in protecting women, and they
Well,
are confused. They're
yeah,
confused.
that comes back to a point we covered earlier on, whereby it's very important for boys and girls that their first heroes they look up to in life is their mum and dad. But after that, then it's very important that they do have role models in society to look up to. When I was growing up and when I was going to school, we had the local teacher, the local football coach. For men, I'm talking about now.
Absolutely.
To look up to. You had your heroes, your Superman, and all of that growing up. But
Yeah.
today we say in society today, who are the heroes of today that young boys and girls have to look up to? Who are they? Where are they? You know,
Yeah.
who do you admire in society today as a good role model? Well, I could think of a few. I think of Denzel Washington. I think in the business that he's in, he's like a breath of
I
fresh
mean,
air.
we can talk about celebrities and stuff. We don't know
Yeah,
all. I mean, I take a look at Brad Pitt, for example. Like
yeah,
he loves his children, and
yeah.
he's an actor. He played Achilles in Troy. So he's played a god. Like, and if he
Are,
can
are, are you saying he's a god?
I mean, like his career was. I mean, like he was
Yeah, yeah.
idolized in so many ways, and for his age, he's a very good-looking man still. Like he's got a great career. But what I'm trying to say is, if a living legend like him can be alienated from his children,
Yes, yes. That's the
if
point.
I mean, like I saw an interview with him where he said, he's sad for his children because they've been denied a relationship with their father.
Yeah.
And that can't be brought back. Those memories, they were never created.
You can't catch up. You just can't catch up with
You
memories.
missed out on those memories, and that's the thing. Like that mother abused those children, denying them access to their father. Brad Pitt's a
Yeah,
great. If this can happen to Brad Pitt, mere mortals like me have no chance.
yeah,
You know.
that's true. Yeah. Well, I'd say you're better looking than Brad Pitt. I'd say that.
No, so it's not just in the looks. It's like in the whole person of who he is. He's a legendary actor. He's a great,
Yeah.
and no one's perfect. I'm not saying that he never made mistakes. Everybody is prone to making. We're human beings.
Look,
But
we're trying to reach the stage.
was he? Is he a criminal? Is he a murderer? Did
No.
he hurt somebody? Like, why was he alienated from his children? And this is a story that happens to a lot of fathers, where they haven't done anything wrong, but they have to spend so much money and resources and emotions fighting for their children in family court that is going to deny them access. In America, they generally give custody to the parent that can afford to pay the least amount of support. So whichever parent can pay the most support, they get the least amount of custody. And the reason for that is because of Title IV funding in America matches funds to support.
Support. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So if like if let's say the father is the better parent and the father is also the better earner, they're still going to give the mother the babies. Why? Because they want that support to be paid. Because now they get matching funds on that. For every dollar they get from the father, they get, I think, 65 cents from the government.
Oh, I have you. Yeah. So yes, yeah. If they get $100 from their dad, they get $65 from the government. Yeah.
That's right. So, I mean, that's a big incentive for courts, and there's a profit motive here. They want to give the children to the parent that makes the least amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter which one that is. And they justify it in very creative and mental gymnastic ways. Like the parent that stays at home spent more time with the children. So they're more familiar with that parent.
Of course. Of course.
They don't say the parent that stayed at home was a deadbeat and couldn't earn anything and has no skills. Like they can't say, hey, the parent that stayed at home, like they can't really afford to have these children.
I know, and when I was working in the taxi business, I was lucky in that I could spend the day with my kids, bringing them to school, cooking for them, and bringing their friends in to play with. Because my wife was working by day, and I was
Yeah.
gone in the evening then, and she was there. But so we were lucky in that respect, and they got an equal amount of time with both parents. I
No,
hope to
that's
be
wonderful there. Like when I'm working for my family, especially when I was younger, I would, like my entire identity was in building a life for my family. So, I
yeah,
would fly here and there, and I'm always on video chats with my family because I love my family. It's for my family. I don't realize that my woman is talking to other men and cheating on me.
yeah.
Like I don't realize, I can't fathom this is even possible.
I know that, and when that realization uh, becomes a reality for the man, in the thing, it's shattering.
We're so foolish. We're so foolish. Like we close our eyes and we imagine it won't happen to us. We close our eyes and we work our asses off and we work our fingers to the bone until we have heart attacks for our family.
Yeah,
And we give it, when a man comes into money, he wants to give it to his family. When a woman comes into money, she's thinking about how she can be independent and get rid of her man. That's generally the way it is. It's like, oh, now I make money, I don't need him.
Well, they need the Gucci bag.
No, I'm wondering, like, what is the deal here? So some women, like, they've come to this realization, like Emily, for example, that she wants love for the sake of love. And, obviously she wants to be, protected and cared for. But, like to her, going for the bag and, having a retirement plan, it's clearly not the case because,
Your daughter disagrees with you.
but, and unfortunately, the way that marriage is set up in Western society, it is very destructive to a man. It's not at all in a man's favor. And my family, for example, has a very difficult time accepting that I no longer want to participate in marriage with the government. I don't want to marry the government.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, there's that element for you to consider when you're in the United States, But my daughter is married to her husband, which is nice for me.
No, I
Like
mean,
I
I
said,
think marriage is important if it's done with the right mindset, going into it with the right mindset. And honestly, and with all fairness and truth, it's protection for the woman. It really is protection. I mean, I want my daughter to find a good man who's disciplined, hardworking, can protect her, provide for her, knows how to deal with a woman's ups and downs without getting upset,
yeah.
and is going to marry her. I want her to be married so she's protected in that relationship.
Well, I know the points that we brought up tonight, Farzan, in the program, will be challenging for people when we listen to this, because we have been honest as we can as men. I think we have anyway, and I really appreciated the time with you today. We must catch up again. We won't leave it long. We'll catch up again in a few
Thank
weeks'
you,
time.
Pat. I appreciate your time and I appreciate
Oh,
your audience. And I hope that
absolutely.
everybody can take away a little bit of knowledge from what we've shared
No,
here.
all the information are at the bottom of the show there, our email and my phone number. You can text and email, and I'll pass all your good wishes on to Farzan and his family. But for this edition of the Pat Barry Show, from Farzan and Roxanne and Emily, uh, being a special guest on the show tonight, thank you for your time, lads, and the very, very best of luck for the rest of your life, really. And
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
aloha.
Aloha, everybody.